When it comes to conflict in relationships, and this applies to relationships with friends, family members, work coworkers, children, spouses, one of the greatest skills we can learn is the skill of assessing the other person's nature and expecting that person to behave in a manner that is in accordance with their nature. We can easily assess any particular animal by referencing its species. So, a skunk is smelly, a bear is ferocious, a deer is meek and mild and beautiful. You know the nature of a particular animal in general just by referring to its species, just by knowing what the other members of the species are like. But when it comes to humans, even if we share some traits or some parts of nature, we generally are all very different, which means each of us has a particular individual, unique nature that makes us the way we are. Each of us prefers to behave in certain ways, and each of us prefers to do and avoid doing certain other things. Now, what those particular things are is what assessment is all about. You need to assess what are the particular traits of the people that you relate to on a regular basis. If you have a child and they're always misbehaving, they're always doing mischievous things, or they like to run in the street, or cause trouble, play pranks on other kids, you may try and correct their behavior because it's your child. It's your obligation to try and help them evolve in a way that will help them fit in society. But at the same time, there should be an understanding that if they don't change their behavior, there's a strong chance that it's part of their basic nature. There are some kids who love building things. Other kids love exploring and discovering nature's creatures. They'll lift every rock and check into every crevice to try and find a snake or a frog or whatever's native to that area. They just can't help themselves. So if you have children like this, at some point you have to accept that this is their nature. You may not like that they're getting their clothes muddy every time they go outside of the house, but this is what they like to do. This is their nature. And you may still try and help them correct their nature or their behavior, but without stressing out about it, without being stressed out by it. If you go to work and your boss is constantly nagging you with things to do, at some point you have to understand this may be that person's nature. It may be their nature to micromanage or nag you until they think of something else to nag you about. If you have a spouse that is constantly trying to get you to do things that you don't want to do. You need to understand this is their nature. This is the person that you married. The thing that stresses us out in relationships and when we deal with conflict is that we expect the other person to behave in a way that's different from their nature. It's like asking a tiger to change its stripes. It's like asking a deer to be ferocious or a skunk to smell like perfume. It's just not possible. So we are up against an unrealistic expectation. The way to find out what a realistic expectation would be is to examine the nature of the other person. What's their behavior like? What do they like? What do they prefer to do? How do they prefer to behave? And try and get an understanding of that person's basic nature. Now, the truth is, if you're any good at this, if you understand the benefit of this, you would do it right from the start. This is what your job interview would be all about. If you were interviewing a potential employee, this is how you would look at it. While you ask all kinds of interview questions, you'd be trying to assess what that person's nature is. What are they like? What are they naturally inclined to do? What are they naturally disinclined to do? And you might not ask questions to get the answers to those questions. You might just observe on your own. When you're on a date with a prospective partner, while you go about the ordinary behaviors of a date, whatever they may be, you would constantly be trying to observe behaviors that indicate a tendency toward this or that. You may observe behaviors that you don't like or behaviors that you do like. And from the beginning, from the first meeting, from the first date, you would be trying to get a sense of what this person is like in their basic nature. What are their deep-seated, deep-rooted tendencies? So when you ask them what kind of work they do, and do they like that kind of work, or what do they like about their job, or what do they dislike, you're trying to get a sense of what are the basic tendencies of this person, what's their basic nature, so that you can determine whether you can tolerate the way that they naturally are, as opposed to focusing on trying to lure that person into a relationship and then later trying to deal with the fact that this person has a basic nature that is very difficult for you to tolerate. Some people end up in that situation and it's too late for them. The only thing they can do is separate or divorce. But if you can learn to assess a person's nature and not expect them to behave in a way that is opposing to that nature, that is different, that is against their very nature, then at least you won't be stressed out when they behave in accordance with their nature. And that will allow you to be peaceful in your relationships. Have a sense of inner peace so you understand, okay, this person is just like that. That's their natural inclination. It's their basic nature, and there's nothing you can do to change that. In fact, it might become a source of entertainment to you. If you ever watch the 60s TV show, The Andy Griffith Show, where Andy Griffith has a deputy. He plays the sheriff, and he's got a deputy who is constantly making trouble for him. But Andy finds the humor in it all. He finds it entertaining. You can see how he's smiling with his lips closed when he catches Barney in a lie or hyperbole, when Barney embellishes his heroics. You can see Andy smirking, or at least smiling lightly, because he understands and enjoys the beauty of this person's nature, that they love to embellish their heroics and they love to cover up their lack of courage. So learn to assess the basic nature of every human being that you come in contact with on a regular basis, and that will keep you free of stress in your relationships.